Hey guys, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. So today we've got a discussion video, and actually I mean just, like a couple seconds ago, stopped recording a short about this topic because I realized that this topic does deserve its own full-length video, and short just wasn't going to cut it. I'm still going to upload that short, but we're going to upload this long-form video too. So I'm out here taking a walk. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening. Just got off work. This was a topic that was on my mind, and I think we should discuss it. Now, the short, I'm probably going to title something like, I'm not doing YouTube right, or I don't do knife content right, or something. And I might make this video, give this video a similar title. Also, this is probably going to be a weird video. We're going to be walking around, shaky camera, going to give someone a seizure. Probably going to be noisy too. I'm walking around in my cowboy boots on the crunchy ground. Got my keys jingling on my belt. But I don't have a tripod, so just put up with it. So this whole topic was instigated. I don't know. It was put in my brain. Ooh. Gideon also can't talk, so this video is going to be real fun. But this whole conversation, this whole topic, was brought to me by a comment under a community post that I made. And no hate to the commenter, like, I get it. The comment kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop, but that's not anything against the commenter, because I think this commenter is just engaging with my content the way that I think most people are engaging with this hobby now. And that is the thing that I think is a little bit tragic, for lack of a better word. Alright guys, change of plans. My hike got interrupted by my buddy Janelle, so we're gonna go home and finish this video at my house late at night. Should be fun. Alrighty, so let's finish our little discussion here. Just while it's fresh on my mind, even though it's late at night, and we know how late night Gideon Stuff videos turn out. We'll see what happens here. So the comment in question was left on a community post that I made, and this post was a pocket dump. I haven't done very many of those. Back when I was active on Instagram, which, again, I always say this. I'm trying to be more active on Instagram now, guys. I'm trying to get back into Instagram, but Instagram's a terrible platform. I hate Instagram. It does not feel very creatively stimulating. But anyways, back when I was really active on Instagram, I used to do, like, pocket dump photos. I used to, set all my gear out. You guys have seen those kind of photos, those gear check photos. I really liked seeing all the really cool loadouts on Instagram from other people. They'd have their knife, their flashlight, their pins, their wallet, their phone, all this different stuff, like, on the table. And so, anyways, I was at a hotel in Santa Fe this past weekend at the time of recording, and I had a day full of adventures. We'll leave it at that. And I'm getting ready for bed. I was gonna go take a shower. And I'm pulling stuff out of my pockets. I'm just kind of throwing them on the desk. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a pocket dump photo. I haven't done this in a while, so I arranged all this stuff. And I took this picture. And so I posted a community tab, which, again, if I'm going to be posting pictures, I find it funner to post on YouTube's community tabs than Instagram. It says a lot about Instagram, right? And I put the photo of my gear dump, and then I had some photos of the Sangre de Cristos. Some beautiful sunset photos. And with the pocket dump, I had a couple of interesting things in my pocket. I took everything out of my pocket. One of the things I had in my pocket, I still have it in my pocket today actually, was this. This is the osteoderm, or a scute, from an alligator. This is a piece of armored bone that forms those lumps and bumps that you see on the backs of alligators. So, I always have weird stuff in my pockets, rocks, fossils, pieces of alligator. So I just kind of thought that was funny, and I posted that. It was a post that was just, I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. I thought it would be entertaining, so I posted it. And the first comment on that post was from this individual saying, Prices, please. And that got me thinking about a lot of things I've been thinking about for a while, but this kind of brought them to the surface. And I think that I'm maybe not doing EDC content. I'm not doing KnifeTube the right way. Now, I'm saying that sarcastically and kind of facetiously because obviously I'm doing what I want to do here on YouTube, right? And there's really not a right and a wrong way. But there is a meta for content creation in this sphere, just like there is in any kind of group. And for a long time, I've really been seeing a change, a shift in KnifeTube. Just, I guess, EDC content creation in general. And which is normal, right? You see, communities shift, they change, they evolve as they grow. And a lot of times this is a good thing. As a community gets bigger and more diverse, you get more voices, you get more input, and things start to have a different flavor. It's like a big bowl of soup. The more people you have adding their favorite ingredient, the richer and more flavorful the soup gets, right? But sometimes you have a lot of people who are adding the same thing to the soup. And the soup starts to taste like that one ingredient because there's more and more of that and less of anything else. And one of the things that I have been noticing with the EDC community is this big shift from people who come together as a collective to talk about things they find cool, neat, and interesting. And it's shifting more towards consumerism. It's shifting more towards buy, money. What's the new thing on the block and how can I get it? Oh, I've got money burning a hole in my pocket and by gosh, I'm going to spend it. And that, to me, is not fun. It's not fun, and it's a little bit weird to me, especially because I think a lot of people are struggling financially, and I'm not going to tell anyone how to spend their money. I have definitely made plenty of bad financial decisions in my life, and I will continue to make bad financial decisions, I'm sure. But it's a little bit depressing to me as a content creator that instead of coming onto my platform and talking, just talking and sharing things that I love, it's become increasingly more about how can I acquire the brand new thing. And not me personally, because I don't care about that really. I kind of never have. We'll talk about a little bit about how I might have cared about that more in the past. But a lot of people that come across my channel seem to care about that a lot. Now, spending money is part of a hobby. Most hobbies, not all of them, but most hobbies cost money. It's just one of the realities of having a hobby. It's something that you do for your own edification and enjoyment, and a lot of times that comes with a monetary cost, especially if it's a hobby centered around collecting something. So here in the EDC world, our hobby is knives, pins, wallets, flashlights, watches, whatever. And part of that hobby is acquiring things. Part of that hobby is buying items for our collection. And there's a lot of different ways that people engage with this hobby. And I've always tried to be someone who's very accepting and tries not to gatekeep this hobby at all. I think everyone who is in this hobby has a reason to be here, and it's valid that they're in the community. Whether you're someone who's collecting Swiss Army knives, whether you're someone who's collecting gas station knives, if you're someone who's collecting high-end custom grail pieces, or you're someone who just buys a knife every now and again. Whether you're someone who amasses an army of safe queens, or you're someone who likes to buy a knife and use it and test it and get the most out of the steel. Everyone has a reason to be here. There is no one facet of this community that is more valid than another. No one facet of this community has more reason to exist than any others, right? Unless you're in the community for the sole purpose of scalping people. If you go out and buy knives just to flip them on eBay for 3 times their cost, maybe screw you a little bit. Like, maybe we don't want you around. The point is, there are a lot of ways to interact with a hobby, and one of the things that I love about the knife community is that it is so vast and varied. And even I myself, ooga booga, even me personally, I have changed and evolved a lot as a content creator, but also as an enjoyer of pocket knives and fixed blades and flashlights and things like that. And I've talked about this before. When I first started this channel, I was a teenager. So, between me being a teenager and me now in my 20s, I've grown a lot. I've changed a lot. So that's a big thing. But also, when I first started this channel, I was going to school in the, fall and spring. During the summers, I was working as a cowboy. I was on the ranch a lot. I was on my family's ranch a lot more. I was also on the ranch that I was employed by a lot. I was using my knives differently. I was using them a lot harder. The types of knives that I carried were a lot different. Nowadays, I live in the city, work a very, simple jobs. I do still do a lot of adventuring and backpacking and stuff, but, I carry different knives. And I think that has been really beneficial to this channel because I've had a foot in both worlds. I've had a foot in the, overbuilt, tough, bruiser, I'm going to use my knife like a pry bar type of world. So I know that, those guys are valid. I was one of them. I appreciate them a lot. I am still one of them sometimes when I'm out, during my adventures, doing my backpacking trips, building shelters, my knives and stuff, doing my outdoor survival things. But I'm also on the side of, hey, I'm a regular guy living in the city. I need a 3-inch lightweight folding knife to get me through all my daily tasks, and that's about it. I've lived in both worlds, so I know that both sides of it are valid. And throughout all of my different experiences with the knife world and the different facets of the community, one thing always kind of stayed the same. The community. The fact that a group of people can come together online, at shows, whatever, and talk about something that they're really passionate about and enjoy that and share it with each other. But recently I have felt that kind of dying. There's always been like factions within the community. Sometimes the outdoor survivalist guys look down on the EDC guys. Sometimes the EDC guys think the outdoor survivalist guys are, just crazy and over the top. But within those little groups, you could come and be like, hey, I'm a 19-year-old kid. I have a Cold Steel SRK that I like using out in the woods. And people are going to be like, awesome, man. Hell yeah. You can come in there and be like, hey, I just bought my first Civivi knife and I'm using it to open boxes and blah, 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 blah. Ooh, I love the action. Oh, this is my most fidgety knife. And you'll have a group of people be like, hell yeah, bro. That's awesome. And to me, that was always the core of this community. And to me, that should be the core of a hobby. But it's feeling more and more like the hobby is becoming increasingly more focused on buying things. Like buying items is the hobby. And that feels weird. Again, this is a hobby of collectors. And if you're going to be a collector, you have to buy things, right? That's just how it works. But it feels like the buying is taking precedent over the sharing our love of knives with each other. Sharing pictures of our collection on Instagram, talking to other people, watching YouTube videos and just being like, man, that's pretty cool. And I think there are some interesting telltale signs of this. And one of them is the fact that content creation has changed a lot. Jim Skelton, just left YouTube, really. And that was weird to me because he was one of the people that I first started watching. I remember watching him and Nick Shabazz, and of course Mel Complex, and the Dutch Bushcraft Bros, and Doc P. I can never say his name right. Doc P91B or whatever. And I liked these channels a lot because I felt like they all gave something a little bit different. But one of the things that I love, especially about like Jim Skelton's thing, is he would sit down and he would talk passionately about knives that I knew I would never own in 1,000 years. And he would show them off, and I had a lot of fun watching those videos. And again, to me, I knew that I was never going to buy these knives, but that's not why I watched the videos. I watched the videos because I liked hearing his passion. I liked hearing him talk about these knives, and I liked seeing him manipulate them. I liked watching a video and seeing someone flick a custom knife and talk about how it felt and how smooth the inlays were. And, you know, honestly, I kind of enjoyed hearing him talk about like how exclusive this knife was, how there's only ever been 2 of them made, you know, things like that. I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. Not because I was thinking, oh, when can I get my hands on this? But because I could just sit back and appreciate someone appreciating a beautiful knife. I like knives, and I like people who are passionate about things. And so finding a video where someone passionately talks about knives to me was very, very interesting. And Jim Skelton has said that, like, when he was getting ready to retire, he said that he feels like YouTube has changed, that there's really not a place for his content anymore. And I can see exactly where he's coming from with that. EDC content has changed a lot. I have modeled my knife reviews after people like Nick Shabazz, I think. And of course, I've thrown in my own twists and stuff. But long-form videos about a single knife are becoming not what you do on knife YouTube. And this might sound like a little bit of a tangent away from the current topic, but it's not. I do not consume a whole lot of EDC content these days because of a few reasons. And I never like to like bring up other YouTubers and throw them under the bus. I never want to say like, oh, this YouTuber's bad. Oh, this content creator sucks. You should not engage with their content. I don't like to say that because I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. There definitely are content creators that I like less than others, but that's just because their content isn't my taste. This is, I'm going to take a little tangent here. I think online recently, or not recently, I think it's been this way for a while, but I've noticed that a lot of people, they'll watch a video or consume some kind of content that's just not for them. It does not tickle their funny bone. It does not blow up their skirts. It's just not their style. And instead of being like, okay, that's not for me, moving on, they seem to make like moral judgments about the content creator who made that content. And you'll get people who are like, you know, oh, I didn't like this video, so I hate this guy. I didn't like this video, so this guy must be a shill, or this guy must be an untalented hack. This guy must be a paid actor. But, you know, all this different stuff. And I find that so weird. But it's definitely something that happens online, and it's something that I'm guilty of too, I'm sure. But anyways, moving past that, there are definitely some content creators that I like less than others, but I don't want that to come off as they are not good content creators. Now, there are content creators who I think have let their channel become a platform for advertisements. They've turned into kind of commercials. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. I mean, honestly, some of these guys, I do not make a living off YouTube. So some of these guys that do make a living off YouTube, yeah, they've got to do what supports them, right? Right? They've got to do what they got to do. But I think there's a lot of factors that also feed into this feeling that we're not making videos about knives because we're passionate about that certain knife. We want to inform people about it. We want to share our love for that knife. It's become more of, this is the new thing, and you should want this. You should want to buy this. I lose track of how many videos I see every day come across my feed where it's like, the 20 best new knives of the week. And it's like, what on earth? 20 new knives this week? And they're, the best of the best. It's like, whoa, oh my gosh, like what is happening? It's because companies are churning out a lot of these knives. And, they send samples to all the big reviewers and stuff. And I'm glad that I don't get that treatment, because I wouldn't be able to stay on top of things. I really wouldn't. I'd fall so far behind. If Kaiser sent me a package with 20 knives in it, I think I'd just lose my mind, and especially it's like, oh, these are all new releases. You need to make videos about them right now, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like it's taking a lot of soul out of the community, especially because a lot of these knives, I really can't justify their existence. I'm going to pick on Kaiser again right now. I saw that they released this new knife, the Pokemon. I don't know what it is. It's like a play on Pokemon. Whatever. And it looks just like the original two. Like, I really don't know what the difference is between those knives. There are so many knives are coming out where I'm just like, hasn't that already been made before? And it makes it hard to be excited about a lot of things. Now, there are still very exciting things happening out there, and there's still, just absolutely crazy, just, mad geniuses in the knife world who are creating interesting and fun things and making the knife world a fun place to interact with. But it's feeling like this hobby is increasingly becoming commodified, where these companies are, and it's not the company's fault, right? If people will buy something from you, you make as much of it as you can. That's just economics. But I feel like there's this attitude of, I need to buy this new knife to enjoy the hobby, instead of, let me find a knife that I really, really like and purchase it. And going back to my community post and the comment, prices please. When I made that post, I just wanted to share something fun. I had some cool knives on me. I had, the knives I had with me were the Real Steel Evolution Ironclad, which is a pretty interesting knife. I've been having a lot of fun with this. I think it's a cool knife. And my Bark River Ursus Cub, which again, very, very cool knife, quickly becoming my favorite EDC fixed blade. I want to show off those cool knives. Again, I have the alligator scoot in my pocket. I thought that was kind of funny, and, you guys get a kick out of that. It fits the weird humor that my channel tries to lean into. And then I shared pictures of mountains, pictures of the sunset. Because the point of that post was to just check in with you guys and just be like, hey, here's some cool shit. Here's some neat knives. Here's some beautiful mountains. I'm in this hobby because I want to share my experiences with you guys. I love hearing your guys' stories about, oh, this is the knife my dad gave me. Oh, I bought this knife because of this reason. Oh, my favorite designer is this person. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this new lock because XYZ. I'm in this for the community, for the back and forth rapport, but for the talking and sharing and just nerding out about weird things, about stuff that we like. That post, in my mind, the furthest thing was, I'm trying to sell you guys something. And so for me, it kind of felt like I made this post out of excitement and enjoyment, but that's not what this hobby's about anymore. It's about buy. It's about this is the new thing, and you need to spend your money on it. And I'm being melodramatic. I am. I'm being dramatic about this, and I'm not trying to pick on this comment or this commenter, but it's just something that brought to the forefront a lot of things I've been thinking for a while, for quite some time. And it's, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not going to sit here and pontificate about what this says about us as a society, because I don't really think that's useful. I don't really think it does say much about us as a society. But it definitely, to me, was kind of the culmination of these feelings I've been having, where it's not about the game. It's about the money nowadays, which is kind of bizarre. And I think it also has a lot to do with content illiteracy, which it maybe is something that I need to make a whole other video on, but it's definitely something that I have seen in my comments and things as my channel has gotten bigger. I've realized that I have 3, maybe 4 different audiences. I have my shorts audience, which is just random people that come in from all over the place. I've got my long form audience, which are people that sometimes tune in for long form videos if they want to, you get a review of something. I do get a lot of people who will watch my reviews, and it's the only video of mine they ever watched just because they were curious about that knife, which is awesome. I have my community post people. I will make a community post that can get 400 votes, and then I'll make videos that can't break 100 views, right? Which is kind of weird to me. Not really that weird, right? People would rather click on a poll than watch a video. And then I have my core audience, the people who kind of show up and engage with everything, and we, go back and forth, and they understand the humor and they contribute goofiness to the channel. Obviously I love those people. And if you're watching this video, chances are you are those people. But I get so many comments where people, I feel like, misunderstand some of the content that I'm making. When I do talk about the price of items all the time, of course, I'm a reviewer. That is how, in my full reviews, I always talk about the price of the item, because that is important. Knife reviews, I love making knife reviews because they are so, in my mind at least, they can appeal to so many different people. Someone who wants to buy that knife as a tool, they're going to watch a review. They're going to say, okay, is this knife something that fits my needs? People who want to buy knives as gifts, there you go. People who want to buy a knife as a collection piece, they'll watch a review. Does this knife, I like the looks. How's the action? Will it fit in my collection? What's the price? These are all really important things. And a lot of people watch reviews because it's I bought this knife and I'm waiting for it to come in the mail. I need to watch a review to see, to validate my purchase, which I've done that, no. I think that's why most people watch reviews. But I get so many times, I'll get people, because I always talk about the price at the end of the video. And I cannot tell you how many times I've made a knife review and I publish it, and I'll get comments on it where it's okay, but how much does it cost? It's okay, well, you didn't watch the whole video, because I talk about that in every single video. I've gotten comments that have said things oh, that's all cool, but did you really need to take 20 minutes to tell us the price? It's well, to me, the price doesn't mean anything unless you know everything else about the knife, right? If I say this knife costs $20, and in the video right there, okay, is that $20 well spent, or is that $20 wasted, right? You don't know unless you hear me go over all the details about the knife, unless you see me use it and cut with it, and all the other things that I include in my reviews. But content illiteracy, I think, is really tied to this kind of materialistic need to purchase things. You know, I make a lot of random shorts. You know, shorts kind of killed YouTube, I think, in some ways. I really hated shorts when they first came out. I've kind of made my peace with shorts. I figured out how to make short form content that fits the vibe of my channel. And I have fun making some of my shorts. I make long shorts a lot of the time. And I make shorts that are just kind of wacky and random. But I will get, you know, like I made a short where I was in Yellowstone showing off the geysers and stuff. And I made a stupid comment about like, oh, you know, I'm going to jump in the geyser and take a hot bath or something like that. You know, just stupid stuff. And then I showed the knife that I was carrying. And to me, the point of that video is, you know, hey, I'm at Yellowstone, which is freaking awesome. I want to share that with my community. My community is knife people, so I should probably show the knife that I'm carrying, right? What knife did I take with me on my adventure to Yellowstone? You know, and for me, it's something that I'm sharing with you guys. I want to entertain you guys. I want to be like, hey, look, CJRB Fugly at Yellowstone. This is fun. This is a good video. It kind of mixes my interests, right? I'm a geologist, so Yellowstone fits that. I'm an avid outdoorsman. Yellowstone fits that. And I just so happen to run a YouTube channel where I review pocket knives. So, bam, I've taken all those interests and I've squeezed them into one amalgamation. And to me, that's a lot of fun. And I have a lot of fun making those videos and sharing them with you guys. And it's always a little bit weird to me when I make this video showing off beautiful scenery, saying something very, very smart and hilarious, in my mind at least, and then showing off a knife. And I get a comment that's like, how much? How much? Where can I get that cheap? And I get it. Sometimes, you know, like it's not an issue all the time, because sometimes, you know, someone watches the video and like, oh, awesome video. That's really, really cool. What knife is that? And how much does it cost? Comments like that, it's like, fair enough. They liked the knife they saw in the video. Obviously, they liked the video as a whole. You know, yeah, here's information. But comments where it's just like, how much, are really weird to me, especially because I've gotten comments like that on videos where I've shown off like multiple knives, and so they just ask how much. Not about a specific knife, they just want to know the price of every single knife, because that's where their mind is at with this. It's at the collecting. And again, maybe I'm being really pedantic about this, but for me, I talk about the price of a knife in the full review. Other videos that I make with a knife, I'm not really thinking about the price. I'm not trying to sell it to you guys. I'm just talking about my experience with it. Maybe I'm at the campsite cutting up some vegetables and I want to make a quick short saying, hey, this knife is great at this task. Maybe I'm on a hike in the Grand Canyon and I'm like, man, look at this beautiful vista. Pocket check. Here's what I brought with me to the Grand Canyon. You know, for me, it's sharing my hobby. For a long time, I didn't leave links to knives in my review descriptions because, number one, I don't have any affiliate links. I'm not sure I want any, to be completely honest with you guys. But it was just something that I was like, you know, I just didn't really think about it. But people kept asking, you know, give us the links, give us the links, give us the links. So I've started putting links in my reviews. Although I only put, and some people haven't realized this yet, but I only put links to buy if it's a knife that I recommend. Or a knife that I think is at least worth buying. There's some knives that I don't like personally that I do not recommend, but they function the way they should. They're safe. They're not going to hurt you. So I'll put a link if you really want to buy it after you've heard me shit on it for 20 minutes. But if it's a knife that I think is unsafe or just unusable, I don't link to buy it in my descriptions, in my review descriptions. I think that's like, that's weird. If I don't like it and I think it's dangerous, why would I give you guys a gateway to buy it? I get a lot of comments about that to this day. You know, where's the link? And I'll be like, I literally said this knife fails when you're trying to cut cardboard. The lock fails and it closed on my finger. Like, you don't want to buy this knife. It's unsafe and I'm not going to link it. Again, content illiteracy, I think is what it comes down to. But when I'm making content, most of the time, the last thing I'm thinking about is trying to sell you guys something. Even with my reviews, I recommend things. I don't sell things. I worked as a knife salesman my first couple semesters of college. I worked as a knife salesman. I hated it. I'm not going to do it again. It was soulless work. I hate being a salesman. And I made a video about that if you want to check that out. But yeah, that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about me sharing my passion of everything I do. I mean, this channel's got a lot of stuff on it, right? You guys, if you guys watch all my content, I know a lot of you guys enjoy the fact that one day I'll make a video about, you know, this is an amazing bushcraft knife. Here I am batoning through big old logs with it. And then the next day it'll be like, hey, I'm out here hiking Colorado and look, I found a dinosaur bone in the ground, right? Like, I like to keep my content kind of varied, and I like to just share things that I am interested in with you guys, because that's what I like to see. That's the kind of content I want to consume, is passion. I love hearing people talk about their passions. Even if it's something that I don't understand, even if it's something that I'm not interested in, I get excited about other people's passion. I get secondhand excitement. And so just being in a room where someone is talking about something that they love, even if it's something I've never heard of, I can sit there and enjoy it. When I'm watching content on YouTube, I want to find something that I feel like, okay, the person making this video enjoyed making this video. And I have struggled to feel that with a lot of modern content, because it feels like these the knife companies are releasing so many models because they know that there's people who are just itching to buy everything. And the content creators that get the knives, there is no way that you can review every single knife you're sent when you are sent hundreds of knives a year. You just can't do it. You show them off, you say, oh, look, here's this knife, price on the screen, go buy one, next. Here's this knife, price on the screen, go buy one, next. And it's that kind of consumerism that I think kills enjoyment, excitement, and creativity. I think it just sucks the life out of things that you used to love. We live in a world run by consumerism. And you might think that's a good thing, you might think that's a bad thing. It is just what it is. For me personally, I think there are some bad things about it. I don't have, I'm not a very wealthy person. I never have been. I grew up in modest means. I don't make a lot of money now, but I still feel like the world around me has been made so that I can get anything I want at the touch of a button, which is weird. So one of the things I've been trying to do more last year and going into this year is read fiction. I used to be an avid reader. When I was in 5th grade, I actually won, I actually had the most AR reading points of any kid in the state. I got they had this big ceremony for me and everything. I got this award. It was really, really awesome. That year I read Gone with the Wind and Moby Dick as a 5th grader. Yeah. When I was in 5th grade, I was reading at a 12th grade reading level. I would, brag about myself a little bit. I was kind of an overachiever in a lot of ways. And going through middle school, high school, I always read a lot of fiction. I had a great love of the classics. You can see right here, most of my books are actually in storage, which is sad, but some of the books that I do keep out, these ones are all nonfiction. But over here I have Lord of the Rings, I have The Children of Hurin. I like J.R.R. Tolkien quite a bit. I used to read a lot of fiction, and then, went off to college and stuff, and for the past, several years, college, going into professional life and stuff, I've read mainly nonfiction, textbooks, scientific articles, and publications, just a lot of nonfiction, which is amazing. But I've recently had this urge to get back into reading fiction. I want to start reading fiction again. I think there's a lot of useful self-improvement that you can get from reading fiction. And so I decided that I'm going to start reading more fiction. And one of the things that I decided was, I was like, you know what? I'm going to read some Stephen King.
I've always wanted to read The Stand. And the first thing I did was I went onto Amazon and I was like, I'm going to buy a copy of The Stand. And then I stopped myself because my local library is a 10-minute walk down the road. I do have a library card. Where's my wallet? I don't know where my wallet is. I have a library card. I've gone to the library for multiple things. Like I like the library, but my first instinct was to buy a book when I could just walk down the street and check one out from the library and get the same edification out of it. Right now, there are lots of books that I do own that I want to own. That bring me great joy from owning them. Again, there's nothing wrong with buying things. There's nothing wrong with collecting things. But I definitely think that there is a lot to be said about when the spending of money becomes the hobby, right? When the money being spent is part of the enjoyment. Or not even enjoyment, because I don't think it's enjoyment. It's just what people do. And I know this isn't with a lot of people, but, times are tough, right? And I feel very privileged because this past year I have not bought very many knives, but I've had a lot of knives sent into the channel from community members, which, again, that rapport and that interaction with the community, that's what I love. That's what I like about this. And so I am, in some ways, very spoiled. Now, I do still buy knives because I am a collector, and also I have to buy things for the channel, for content. The most recent knife that I've purchased is this Real Steel Evolution. And I enjoy this knife a lot. I definitely am getting the enjoyment out of this that exceeds the monetary cost. But, I feel like it sometimes with hobbies, you feel like you have to spend money to enjoy it. When I first started this channel, I bought a Sin-Cut Scepter. Now, that was like a $25 knife at the time. And it was brand new when I started this channel. And I was like, oh, if I'm going to start a YouTube channel, I need a new knife to, grab attention and stuff. Maybe I did. Maybe that was a good choice. But when I first started the channel, and then this died off fairly quickly, but when I first started the channel, I was like, I need to stay on top of what's new. I need to stay on top of what the hot new thing is. And I realized that that's just not feasible. That's not something that I was going to be able to do. And that's also something that would probably take away from my enjoyment of the hobby. I wanted to focus on things that brought me actual joy, things that I was actually interested in. And I think that's helped me to keep this channel interesting. But it probably has not been the attitude that someone who's doing this at the highest level would have. And I don't want to do this at the highest level. I don't want this channel to become my job, because if this channel becomes my job, then I won't want to make videos anymore. But I do worry, or I don't know if worry is the right word, but I do feel that some of the cool things about this hobby have been diluted due to this obsession with buying all 6 new Civivi knives that come out this week, right? This obsession with buying things. It's weird to me. And again, I might be ranting about something that no one else has noticed, that no one else cares about. Maybe that isn't even an issue. But it's an issue to me. And because I have a platform and a camera, by gosh, I'm going to sit down and ramble about it, because that's what YouTubers do. All right, I'm adding something in right here that I stopped recording. I thought I was done with the video, but I wasn't. I really wanted to make this point, and I figured it was appropriate enough that I should record this little segment that I'll throw in somewhere. It has to do with the commoditization, how do I want to say that? Oh my gosh, it is too late at night for words. Am I gonna have to go grab my thesaurus? Maybe. It has to do with the commoditization. I feel like I was saying that word right earlier in this video, but that sounds wrong. But anyways, the commoditization of enjoyment, of happiness, where it feels like more and more content creators and companies, corporations are pushing this idea that in order to enjoy a hobby or really anything, you have to like spend a lot of money. You've got to, like really pay into it. And even if you're like I feel like even if people know they're on a strict budget, they feel like in order to engage with their hobby, they have to spend money. As you guys know, I'm an avid outdoorsman. I do a lot of hiking and climbing and peak bagging and backpacking and things, and I do it on a very, very limited budget. And because I just can't afford to do anything crazy. I can't afford to spend $500 on a super fancy jacket. So how do I work around that? Hiking is a hobby that a lot of people make seem like, there's a lot of, just being in the outdoors in general, a lot of people think it's a very, very expensive thing, which it can be. In 2025, I climbed almost 20 mountains, over 12,000 feet in elevation. And the way I did it was just by smart planning and doing it in like the summer months, so I didn't have to spend money on expensive clothes. I do buy budget gear and stuff. And if I can go without something, I go without it. And if I know I can't go without something, I try to budget accordingly. I like skiing, but I haven't been since I was in high school because skiing is rather expensive. And when I did go skiing, I went with people who already had like the gear and stuff. There's ways to engage with your hobby and get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of it without spending lots and lots of money. And we see this in a lot of different communities. I'm not a huge gamer, but I've got some friends that are, and I know that like microtransactions and things are becoming a huge problem in a lot of games, both PC games, console games, and mobile games. We are starting to see a world where it increasingly feels like you have to pay for enjoyment. They're taking our hobbies and our interests and monetizing it as best as they can. And I don't necessarily think that it's, the average guy's fault that they feel this way, because again, I think there's a lot of advertising and propaganda pushing people into this idea that, oh, in order to have fun, it costs this much money, or in order to enjoy this or that hobby, it costs this much money. And I think that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make with this video, is that if your main engagement with a hobby is the money you spend, maybe you should reevaluate your relationship with that hobby or find a new hobby. If you got skin in the game mainly through your monetary expenses, maybe that's not great. If you're not having fun engaging with people in the community, if you think that your collection is always 5 knives short and you gotta spend money to get the happiness, if you can't sit down and watch a YouTube video and just say, wow, that's a cool knife, it's, maybe I don't need to buy that. If you can't sit and watch someone talk about a knife without thinking, how much is that? Is that something I can add to my collection? Is it out of my budget? Is it in my budget? I need that knife. Maybe you need to reevaluate your relationship with the hobby. I think that's what I was trying to get at. Anyways, I've rambled for far too long. There's probably a lot more that I could say about this topic. There's a lot more that I have in my head. Media and content illiteracy is something that I'm probably going to make a separate video on. I've been working on a video about AI slop, so maybe it'll be a sister video to that. But I guess the main thesis, the main idea that I want to get across is that I miss the days when this hobby felt like it was just people sharing what they were passionate about and not endless streams of videos trying to sell products. And I sometimes, I don't like that kind of content. I don't like content that exists solely to sell things. And I guess I sometimes get frustrated that I try not to make that kind of content and people want that kind of content from me, or they're confused by the fact that I don't make that kind of content. Quality over quantity, right? This channel, I try to only make videos that I enjoy, videos that I want to make. And there are a lot of videos that I've made that are bad, just horrible stinkers. And it's because I made a video because I forced myself to make it about something that I didn't really want to talk about. And I try to avoid doing that because the quality is always garbage. But I feel like there's, I've said what I have to say, I guess. That's where this video should probably conclude. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with that. So awesome. I don't know how many of you watched this long. I don't know how many of you thought this was a video worth watching. I hope some of you enjoyed it and got some use out of it. Just my own personal frustrations and a little bit of a rant. But that's it from me. Big shout out to my channel members at the cowboy level. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. If you want to become a channel member and support me directly, there's a link down below. It helps me buy Ozark Trail knives. That's what my memberships do. They help me buy Ozark Trail knives for content every now and again. As for the rest of you hooligans, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.